welcome back to the Men's Roundtable Series podcast. I'm Mr. U. We're in the building today, man, with husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons ready to go to work. I'm excited about this. All right, fellas. So, first off, how you guys doing where you are? Weather-wise, you good? Nobody's hiding in cellars? Everybody's all right? We good?
I'm good.
All right, good. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, so last week, you guys are already well aware of it. Most of you were in the comment section checking in with us and dropping some knowledge out of the chat, man. So thank you for doing that. That's always required and helpful. So I really appreciate it, man. We talked about breaking the mask and dealing with those, I guess we just call them, for lack of a better word, mental health issues that men deal with, and issue with performance and trying to be on a success journey and neglecting the weightier matters in life. We talked about all of those things last week, and it had such a response. Even the guys that are not here this week that were here last week, they're like, we got to keep this going. There's more to this. And I'm like, okay. At first, I didn't see it. I'm like, okay. I got notes and research and something. I'm like, okay, what else? Where else can we go? And these guys on the screen right now push the envelope and say, you know what? We know there's more. And we got more to give to the husbands, fathers, brothers, and sons out there. So guess what? I'm putting it on you guys, holding you to your word, feet to the fire. You guys said you have more. We're going to do more. But I want to ask you guys first before we get there, what about last week or the topic kind of impacted you in a way that made you feel like, you know what, we got to move through this some more, or was there a revelation, an epiphany of some kind? Go ahead and share popcorn style. You know how we do, and let us know what you think. And we move on. Go ahead.
For me, talking about the mask, because I've dealt with imposter syndrome pretty much since I've been trying to do things for God. My story is I identify with Gideon in the Bible because he felt like he was the loser of the loser's family. For 40 years of my life, I got bullied a lot when I was a kid, and I always just was kind of stayed in the background on purpose because I didn't want to be seen. And just hearing you guys talk about the mask that we put on is like, how many different masks do I put on? I know every time I have to stand up and speak in front of the men at church, or I get on a podcast and try to talk, I feel like, how am I in this position? Why did God put me here? Or am I doing this myself? And there's always, like, even when you're putting a message together, can I really speak on this? Because I struggle in these areas, you know? So trying to talk about something that you still struggle with, to me, that's a little bit of a mask.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to break down as many masks. I tried to find as many masks as I could find. I found a lot. So I'm going to be tossing that to you guys, and you guys can take one, riff on it, however you want to do that. But who else? Anybody else with thoughts?
Well, for me, it opened my eyes up to the different types of masks. Because normally when I hear mask, I associate it immediately with being fake or pretending to be something that you're not. But then I forgot about the other masks that we must wear, especially when it comes down to protection. One of the analogies we used off air, we were talking about a firefighter. A firefighter will put on a mask, and that's going to protect them from smoke inhalation, just from the temperature and everything. But that firefighter is not going to keep that mask on all day, every day. It's only necessary for certain situations, such as life. There are certain situations in life where we must mask up. And that's not just to protect us, but it's to protect our household, to protect our organizations, our businesses, or what may have you. So when it comes to masks, you have to really look at what is your purpose for hiding or protection. You know, what is the purpose for it, and what are you protecting? Because as I stated last time, some things need to be protected, and other things need to be exposed. So you have to see what needs to be hidden and what was not. So it really, what I'm saying is, we really need to sharpen our discernment. Yeah, is what it comes down to. We need to sharpen our discernment.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Anybody else?
Yeah, man. One thing I was thinking about, and it kind of goes off of what Arl was talking about, man, is that fine line between wearing a mask and being a fake, right? But the other facet of wearing a mask for privacy, right? You don't divulge all your secrets to everybody, so it's like it's looking at that fine line and trying to ride it well, where it's like I'm being honest, right? But I'm also being wise in what I'm doing. And I'm wearing a mask that's going to keep me safe, protection, but privacy, right? Like it's not going to come to harm, but it's not everybody needs to know everything, and just like every time we have on the show, man, like we go through a week of things. And then for the following week, I sit there and I'm like, wow, whoa, that was a mask. Oh, that was a mask, right? I even think about like my job, right? There's a lot of HIPAA and confidentiality things that I deal with. And then the separation between church and state, right? Where there are certain ways that I can share the gospel and certain ways that I can't. And I have to kind of wear a mask even in that way, right? Where I'm not, with a collar on and, waving my Bible at anybody, but I'm doing it in a different way with a different mask. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I thoroughly enjoy this, man, where the varied perspectives, I get to live them out. It allows me to be more aware of things. And I feel like, as always, I'm becoming such a more versed person, and thanks in large part due to all of your different perspectives, man. Last week was fire. I wasn't actually on there, but just in the chat and watching you guys, I was like, wow, didn't realize that there were that many masks. And I was loving RL's passion about it. Brother was like, nah, if you're wearing a mask, that means you're fake. Like, I'm good. But then as the conversation progressed, like you just said, like, then you start to see that, hold on, we got protective masks, we got privacy masks, we've got so many different ones that sometimes we're forced to wear them, and sometimes we have to choose to wear them, right? And all of those things can serve to how we live. So fire week, looking forward to another one.
Yeah, I was in the chat too, and same thing. I kept going back and forth because every time somebody would say something, even if they were kind of contradicting the person before them, I'm like, yeah, I agree 100%. And it's like, wait, they're saying the opposite of what the other person just said. How can I agree 100%? But I think that was part of it. It's not a simple subject. It's not one of these things where it's like, every time you wear a mask, it's bad, or every time you wear a mask, it's good, or there's more nuance to it. And I think that was why it sparked such a debate in a healthy way, or such a conversation in a healthy way, is because it isn't, I started with, oh yeah, mask, bad, fake, bad. Oh wait, no. The more you talk, the more I was like second guessing myself.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to go a little deeper, man. I'll talk specifically about myself. I used to wear many masks. One in particular was about my complexion. I'm a dark-skinned black man, so where I come from, got picked on quite a bit, and the way I overcompensated for that was try to be funny. I try to show up by being humorous or through anger. If somebody says something to me out of the way, we fighting. So I didn't know how to deal with those type of situations as it relates to complexion. I can go a little deeper as far as some of the things that I witnessed as a child, whether it be domestic violence. I've kind of talked about that here before. To be honest, it pissed me off. I couldn't help my mother, so I had that mask on to where I thought I was okay at times, but I really wasn't. And it showed up in so many different ways, man.
That's good, man. That's real good. Anybody else missing? Anybody else want to add anything, rebut? If not, we'll keep the train moving. All right. So, if you guys are watching for the first time, again, thanks for making us part of your week. Grab a friend, tag a friend, let them know that the round here is in effect, and we're here. We're ready to roll. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. We're happy to answer those as long as they're relevant to our conversation. Then we'll respond to those. We talked about so many different masks last week. I mean, I could throw them out there. You got the I'm fine, I can handle this, the provider mask. We talked about that a little bit. It's usually worn when somebody has financial pressure and something's their identity is kind of being challenged or tied to their ability to provide. You got the strong one mask. Stephen was just talking about that one. Nothing gets to me. I don't care what they say. what they say don't bother me, but deep down it really does bother us. You know, you got the Joker mask. I think Steve mentioned that as well. That's usually worn in male friend groups because vulnerability kind of gets clowned by people. So people try to disguise how they really feel with humor. You got plenty of those, but for yourselves, guys, I don't know if it was last week that you heard it, or maybe even as you heard those options there. What's the mask? Is it the angry mask? Is it the busy mask? What's the mask that maybe it's like, you know what, my family is tight, we're together, we're all on the same page, man. That's a mask too. You don't mean go out there and show everybody at church on social media how bad things are going in your house, but there's still it's still a mask because you're not really protecting anybody by not saying anything or getting help about it. So it's like that's a mask as well. So what mask would you guys say is the one that's like, man, especially at the last week in the discourse that we had and how we ended it? What's the mask? Like, you know what? I need to pay more attention to that than I ever did before. What would that mask?
Okay. I'll say for me, false humility.
Oh,
And
Go with it for us, man. Break that down a bit for us. Break it down so we can understand.
false humility is almost similar to when you're having identity crisis, so to speak, as far as I'm losing it, but imposter syndrome. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. And when it comes to when they say false humility, you have a tendency to get in certain rooms and you shrink yourself. And you're saying I'm humble, but you're really not being humble because you're bringing attention to yourself by saying you're being humble or trying to appear being more humble than what you really are. And false humility in that, like I said, getting in certain rooms and you like I say, you shrink yourself when God has placed you in a certain situation for you to stand up. But because of, again, who's in the room, you shrink yourself. Or you're so focused on you till you're not really paying attention to what's needed in the area or in the room or how your message can help those around you. He showed this to me very simple. I don't know if I shared this story here before, but in my bedroom, all the power went out. And it was just in the bedroom. And I was thinking I need to call an electrician. I turned the switch on, the lights would come on sometimes, and then sometimes it wouldn't. And then I said, Holy Spirit, you got to show me what the problem is. I'm going to fix this today. And then I noticed that my wife plugged up her phone on her side of the bed, and it was charging. So I got excited, and I was like, oh, the power's working. And I hit the switch, closet switch, room switch, nothing. So then I was like, that's very odd. So what I found out was that that switch, it burnt out, and it was doing what's called arcing. But because it was the head of the circuit, it still received power, but it cut power off the entire room to prevent a fire. So I was able to open the switch up, 66 cents, change the socket, everything was fine. So I saved myself a whole bill calling an electrician for a 66-cent problem. But in that, Holy Spirit started speaking to me. Just like that socket, sometimes we can be focused on ourselves, and because we're receiving power, that's all we focus on. But because we have short-circuited, we have now cut the light off the whole room. There's light that should be in dark places that are not getting the light because you're so focused on yourself. So he was showing me sometimes we can burn out, and our purpose is not just for us. Just like when we talk about a tree and the tree yields fruit, you never see the tree eating that fruit. So our purpose is not for us. It's really designed to help people. And there's a lot of people that are tied to our destiny that are not receiving what they need because we're too focused on ourselves, or we're too stuck not being who we're supposed to be. And that's how he was talking to me about false humility. It's like if I put you in this space, you belong in that space. So I need you to stand up and be who you are and stop pretending, stop hiding, stop faking. What are you afraid of? You know, so I could speak a long time on that. So I'm just gonna leave it there. I'm not trying to go too deep because I know we short on time. So, but false
what?
humility.
We ain't short
No,
on
what I'm
time.
saying, well, when I say short on time is I need to share with my brothers because I can talk on that for about 2 hours. That's what I'm.
Well, take a
Prove
breather. We come back to you on that. No worries. It's not a big deal. We're good. Anybody else? Come on, jump in.
I'm gonna bounce off of what he said, where he was talking about sometimes you shrink back. Just last weekend, 2 times the last time I was on this show, I don't talk a whole lot because I see myself. You guys got more than I got. Maybe that's the mask of me feeling like I can't share. You guys are men's coaches, and you guys been doing this a lot longer than me, and I'm just being vulnerable and telling you how I feel. So a lot of times I stay quiet because I feel like, oh, they got a lot more perspective than I do, and that's really how I feel in a lot of rooms. Because I've been a Christian for a long time, but I really only within the last 5 years started getting closer and drawing a relationship with God. And now it's like, who am I to speak? Let somebody else do it. And there's times that I know the Holy Spirit is telling me to speak up and say something, but I'd rather just put on the mask and hide and let everyone else do it. Kind of, he talked about that at first was the shrinking back. But another mask that I think a lot of men wear is the I got this mask. I'm good. How are you feeling? And I don't remember his name, but the guy you call the mayor, he talked about it last week. People ask you how you're doing, and you say, I'm good. There's a time when you're not doing good and you tell people you're doing good. Sometimes God sends somebody your way to help you, and they get this check in their spirit. Ask him how he's doing, and you say, I'm good. They move on. And you miss that blessing because you didn't speak the truth. You put that mask on.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. Thank you for the transparency, brother. Hopefully, we love you, man.
Yeah, man, you got plenty to offer. And shout out to the mayor if he's watching this.
He might be getting the replay. He might not be watching this today, but go on, give Mayor Emeritus some love.
The mayor. One that I was made aware of this week is like a perceived mask, right? Not one that I intentionally wear. My wife and I were talking about different things. I have a lot going on right now. And she asked me a question. I said, I really don't want to make that decision right now. I said, all of these other things, these are like major decisions, and I'm starting to feel this pressure. And I don't think you understand that. And she goes, well, stop making it look like you got it all covered. And I'm like, I didn't know I do that. Like I don't wear my emotions on my face. I don't wear my stress outwardly, and so it's just this perceived mask that, okay, because I can remain calm, because I'm not led by emotion, right? Because I could almost be stoic in certain ways. It's perceived as I've got it covered, kind of like what you were talking about, right? But it's weird because I don't intentionally wear that. Like I will be quick to tell somebody if I ain't got it. Like that's not hard for me to do, but it's almost like it's projected onto me, right? Because I've been seen to be able to handle things. I've been seen to react calmly under pressure. I've been seen to make it through the other side of things and seemingly unscathed. Meanwhile, underneath that, if you were to ask me, I'm like, man, I got scratched and burnt and cut, and I got all these bruises and bumps, and but that's one that I really have been made aware of, that I'm like, wow, I think I have to be maybe a little bit more open about things. Maybe my privacy mask is on full effect at all times, where, unless you ask me or unless I know that I trust you, you might not know that I'm going through something. And it's not to say that I don't want people to know. Just that maybe automatic, autopilot with the privacy one. The other one is the I got it mask, man. I remember all of the things that I've been through, man. I've battled with addiction through recovery, right? And I've had people tell me, after the fact, like, dude, I didn't even know you did drugs. Like, dude, I didn't even know that you were going through those things, man. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm good. I got it. You know, it's all about perception. You know, those times in my life, though, I think reputation was much more important to me than the identity that I have in the Lord right now. Right. I cared about what you would say about me more than I cared about what he says about me. Right. The things he says are way better, though. I'm gonna tell you, if you're listening to this right now and you care about what the world says about you, you need to find out what the Lord says about you, because he's gonna tell you you're enough. He's gonna tell you that you are chosen. He's gonna tell you that he knows you by name. Like, it's a game changer. But when it comes to the reputation thing, man, it was like, okay, I want to wear whatever mask makes you guys think that I'm cool, makes you think I got it, makes you think that I'm okay, that I'm successful, right? And I think I still do that sometimes. You know, I think sometimes I still need to be reminded to take that thing off and know that I'm secure in who I am.
I love that, man. I want to ask a question before we let the next person talk. Where do you think the importance of community comes in with what you just said? I'm asking that. I stress it because I know that, oh man, the pull of isolation for men, I'm almost amazed by it, but I know it's so sinister and it's so bad. I don't want to sound like I'm impressed by it, but
yeah,
the level of pull and the consistency of isolation for us men, it's uncanny. We could be doing so good, man, and one small molehill, not even a mountain, even, man, just a molehill can pull us right back into that place where we start guarding and start self-protecting. I'm like, wow, what a consistent enemy isolation has become. I just want to just ask you, DL, and you guys can chime in if you want to. You guys in the comment section, if you're hearing something that vibes with you, you can chime in on this one. Where do you think community comes in for you? Because I feel like that answers a lot of that, but it's something that we're not intentional about, it feels like. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Community's paramount, man. Like, it's absolutely necessary. I mean, we've talked about this before, right? The Lord, we were made for community. We weren't made to do this life alone, right? When we're alone, you know, like even the garden, then the enemy can tell us something and we're going to believe it, right? Adam wasn't there, you know? So the isolation, that's the perfect place of attack. But I'll go more practical. Like, I think about people coming home from prison, right? Right now, the statistic is that 40,000 barriers are placed when it comes to employment, housing, and healthcare for people coming home from prison, right?
Yeah.
If they don't have community, if they don't have support, right, what happens? Another statistic comes about. 20% of all adult male suicides are people that come home from incarceration. That's 1 out of 5 people who take their lives, right? I think about myself, I'm a success case. Why? Because I got out and I had a church community that wanted to rally around me. I had a safe place. I had people that I could trust. I had family who were willing to tell me that they loved me and what do you need, right? Not to say that they were there to give me stuff, but to remind me that life was worth living, to remind me that I do have someone in my corner. There's a lot of people that are stuck, people that may even listen to this, that don't have that, right? And they become that statistic, you know? And so I would say community is super, super important. Like, if you don't have that, again, we saw what happened to Eve. She was by herself. She believed the lies of the enemy. And what did that lead to, right? She was in the garden and then she's now cast out. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty simple. I think that's pretty black and white, you know, and if it's a tale as old as time, you can rest assured that it's happening today, right? And then we see it in these avenues with suicide. We see it with all of the different mental health challenges. And I just want to say this. If you find yourself in that place, you feel like isolating, you find yourself with, you know, mental challenges in this way, there are places that you can go and people you can talk to. There are numbers that you can call, right? 988 is the nationwide emergency mental health hotline number in the United States. You could call, you could text, you could chat online at 988 lifeline.org. You'll get 24/7 support from trained counselors. And if you prefer text-based, text HOME to 741-741. Remember, you matter. And there's plenty of resources available to you, people who are trained for these types of things, people that are willing to hear you out and won't judge you. And if you're a veteran, we thank you for your service. And you got to know that you mean so much more. And so for you, if you are a veteran listening to this or watching this, the Veterans Crisis Line is 1-800-273-8255. Press 1 or text 838-255 if you are a veteran. Again, thank you for your service. You are more than enough. You mean something. So get the help that you need.
Good stuff. Thank you, sir. Anybody else want to jump in?
I think for a lot of guys too, the provider mask is a heavy one. I know, I think I shared my story a few weeks ago about going through a financial crisis, actually being suicidal because of it, and those sorts of things. And I think for a lot of guys, and for me, even though I fought through that, I kind of broke that mask, and I laid those pieces aside, and my wife and I came together. It's still real tempting to pick it back up and put it back on.
Sir.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's constantly there, because for one thing, the messages we get, from society, from other men, from women, from whatever, is constantly, be a good provider. You're the provider. You need to do this. And I agree with that. And I feel that, but then there's a place where feeling that becomes unhealthy and it becomes isolating. And going off of what was just said about community is, that's part of the reason why I think surrounding yourself with other men who are willing to get real and go, yeah, that sucks. What can we do about it? Let's walk together through this. Or maybe I just need to sit with you and listen for a while because, there ain't nothing you can do. Okay, great. But I'll listen. Because I think so often as men, especially through that provision, we make it all our problem when the reality is it's never just us. It's never just us.
Mm-mm. No. We got a discussion question. Oh, Chris, you bro.
Yeah, I said it this morning, man. I did about a 1.5-minute clip on my page this morning where I talked about, us being too focused on our image instead of our healing and our purpose, man. I think that's what a lot of men are dealing with. And I would say probably one of the most biggest masks is that approval mask, right? The one where we feel like we got to please people all the time. And if we could just get out of our own way, and pay it forward and focus on what God has called you to do and to share your story, it will be so much better.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Agreed.
We got discussion question up on the screen for us to kind of walk through. You guys that are watching and listening from a distance, you can definitely chime in the comment section here. Is independence always strength, or can it become isolation with just better branding? What do you guys think about that? You guys can drop your answer in the comment section if you're watching and listening from a distance. Please go ahead, guys.
I think go ahead. You go ahead.
You go ahead.
Y'all play rock, paper, scissors.
Oh, sorry.
I think independence is pride. I don't think it's strength in any way.
Yeah.
It's literally pride. I don't even see how it's better branding. Especially if you're a Christian and you say I'm independent. If you're a Christian, you're not walking alone. You got the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit with you. That's just my thought on that.
Yeah. I think a lot of people look at independence as a way, and this probably a different way, but it's probably one thing I think of is a way to kind of either protect your image or protect your feelings, so you're not hurt. It could be a way of saying, you know what, I'm fearful of that level of change. So independence means I can stay here where I want to be. So there's a lot to go with that, but. What do you guys think about this? Is independence strength at all, or is it just isolation with just better in a better outfit, if you will?
I think it can be strength sometimes, depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
But like what he just said, from the angle that he took it, I mean, there's no arguing that. That's God had called us to community, and like I said at a retreat, to refuse to come into community, you're really walking in disobedience. Because one of the first things that he said was, man should not be alone. So you're really walking in disobedience when you're trying to isolate. But for me, how did we even get here? How did well, let me speak for me. How did I even get to trying to be so independent? It all goes back to childhood. It goes back to development. And as for me, I had more of an avoidant attachment, so to speak. You go around the psychology of it. And what that is, it's not necessarily that I was neglected, but I was the eldest child, and I caught on to things pretty fast. So with that being said, a lot of the times my siblings got most of the attention because they felt that they needed them more and I didn't. So a lot of times I was left to myself to figure things out on my own. And what that developed in me was a sense of independence, to where I felt like I had to do things on my own. I felt like if I can't do it, then it's just not going to get done. I didn't rely on people. I relied on myself. And just growing up over the years, and I started to see how that was seeping out into other relationships. And just being transparent, right before I just got in trouble, not really in trouble, but I got in trouble right before I got on this podcast because I was looking for the cord to plug up my laptop. Now we got 3 laptops in the house, everybody's HP, and for some reason we can only find one cord, and my wife is using it right now. She's like, just take this one. And I was like, no, I'm gonna find it. And she was like, you getting on here for this mental health month. Don't make me come on there and blast you because I'm trying to help you and you won't let me help you. And I was like, 10-4. Give me the cord.
So what's your name in the comment section? No, sorry.
Brother had to take his mask off before he jumped on.
Yeah, right before. And like you said, I didn't even realize I even put it on.
Yeah.
But that's that sense of independence where you're trying to work everything out on your own. And like I said, God called us to community. And the importance of the community is you learn so much from one another. And not just the things that people can teach you. Proximity is important because some things can't be taught. Some things have to be caught.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some things, you just being in the room with brothers or like-minded people or people walking that lane, you catch so much that you can't get by yourself. And a lot of times we're stuck and stagnant because that missing piece. There's somebody out there that has what you need. Either they're going to teach you or you're going to catch it just from being around them. But you can't get to the next level because you're refusing to be around people. There's a difference between separation and isolation. And a lot of times we confuse being separate with being isolated, and we isolate ourselves and we go into this cave and we go into this hole and we try to figure everything out. But we would be so much farther alone if we just open up. We have community. You get around somebody that can speak into your life. You get around to somebody that's going to call you out on your BS.
Yeah.
So it can be a strength depending on how you look at it, but like my brother said, it's really pride and it's disobedience. You're walking in disobedience.
Yeah.
Terrific. Anybody else?
Yeah, man, that's real. I look at this, right, and I think contextually, if we're being independent of the world, it could be a strength, right? But that means dependence has to be on this side where you're depending on God, right? If you're independent of God, we already know where that goes because that is pride, right? Pride goes before destruction. What's interesting to talk about what you were just talking about, RL, is you didn't want to look for the cord, right? We end up handicapping ourselves, right? You're actually thinking you're doing something good. No, I'll find it. You do that. I'm being helpful to you, right? You keep the cord, you keep your computer charged. I'm not going to bother you and have you help me look for this, right? I can do it. That way you could keep doing what you're doing. But then we handicap ourselves, right? Because now we're not accepting the help that they're trying to give us. So I would say independence can't be strength. Like it can't be, right? Because like how Mark was saying, right? If we're walking with the Lord, we can't be independent. We have to be dependent on him, right? And then if we're not, it doesn't matter all the accolades that you achieve in this world. It doesn't matter how many commas you got in your bank account. It doesn't matter how many friends and followers you got on socials, right? We know what the destination is. And so there's no strength in that, right? Because ultimately it's going to fail. But I just find it interesting because the independence being that line right in the middle, right? You teeter either which way, you're going to be dependent on something, right? If you're not, then you're by yourself. And what can you do by yourself, right? You can't procreate by yourself, right? Like you could get some things done. I mean, look what Mr. U's able to do here. But I know that he doesn't isolate himself and get this work done. He knows the activities that he's got to get done, but he's got his queen, right? He doesn't isolate from the queen. You know what I'm saying? He's got the Lord. He doesn't isolate from the Lord, right? He's got his time in his secret place. It's so interesting that we live in a society today where we are competing to see who can be the most alone, essentially, right? We are competing to see who can be by themselves the best, right? I'm so good at being by myself. How do I know that? Nobody's around to see it, right? And what's so funny about that is in
Hey,
that
it's a contest you could always win, right?
right. But what's funny is the only way that you can win that is if somebody sees it. That means somebody has to be there, right? And at the end of the day, validation is what you're seeking in that way, right? Like you want eyes on it, right? But I don't know. I digress, man. I just find it really, really funny that it becomes a competition. I'm so good at being alone, right? I've said this before on my show, man. I was so proud before, so arrogant, I didn't even see it, where I would be like, man, I'm so humble. I could be way more humble than you. Watch, right? Like it's a very similar vein. Man, I'm so good at doing things by myself. Come and watch me. Well, then you're not by yourself. Look at this this walking paradox, man. It doesn't make any sense. But hey, this is the life we live.
Mm-hmm. There's so many layers to this, man. When you have young sons or young nephews or whatever, you let them be independent, learning how to do the whole walking thing. You don't hold their hand. You don't pick them up every time they cry because you know what that's going to turn into. So you give them space to do stuff. You got the little kid who it's not even Halloween. He putting on a Spider-Man mask. Come home from school, put his books down, and he got a Spider-Man mask. He jump on across the whole house. After a while, if you ever seen it, I know I've seen it before. I wonder if you've seen it before. Whether it's a son, nephew, whatever it is, where this young person is so caught up in the character of this mask that he physically has on that he's starting to do even more things that he would normally do because he's almost believing that this is who he is.
Yeah.
And he loses his own identity, who he really is, in favor of being Spider-Man or the Cape Crusader being Batman or Superman. I watch little kids do this kind of stuff. And it's like that. You can deal with that, but it's scary when adults are doing it. It's scary when adults are doing it. Where it's like, you know what? I'm the provider. This is all I know. It's all I have. If I don't provide, I ain't nothing. Yeah. Well, I feel rejection so bad. I gotta do this. What you're saying, guys, is great, but I can't. I have to do this. Like I don't have any other choice. I gotta fly around and save people and save the world because it's better than who I actually am in my mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's scary, man.
Yeah.
We got a comment that Brother Quandre dropped in here. It's a long one. I'm going to go ahead and read it anyhow. It says, I think it could be a sign of strength, meaning independence. But once it starts to negatively impact your ability to be with others is when it becomes toxic. I've been independent because it's how I've always been. We just talked about that. And now it's kind of turned into a situation where instead of asking for help for a faster or more effective outcome, I would just be in the headspace of, I would just figure it out because it's what I'm used to. Thanks for sharing,
Hey,
brother.
shout out. That's my nephew right there. I didn't know he was tapping in tonight, man.
He sure did, man.
Yeah.
You want to speak to that situation right there? You got the floor, brother, if you need to.
Let me see that comment one more time.
Yes, sir.
He said, "Talk to him, Unc."
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate, you know what I mean? Like, I go back to what R said, you know, I was the oldest kid, man, and I had to be independent, you know, just because of my upbringing. And it can teach you to perform in that way. But at the end of the day, you know, don't get caught up in that, because independence, that's not the move, man. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them. That's it. That's what the word says, Matthew 18:20. So,
Yes,
so nephew, I got you back, bro. I got you.
I love this, man.
Right.
Thank you for that.
That's
I love
right.
it. You know,
Mr. You started talking about how kids will start to walk and you kind of let them figure it out. You let them walk, but then you're also there encouraging them. When they fall, you might lend them a hand and say, you can get back up. And then you let go of their hand and just keep them walking. And I think that's how us men should do it with each other.
Yeah.
You can have a little bit of independence, but if you got a brother walking beside you to encourage you and keep you moving along, like that's what I've seen with my podcast. I started this all on my own, but until I met some people like Mr. U and DL and Scott, all of you guys have been on my podcast, and it's encouraged me and kept me moving. And to the point when Mr. U asked me to do this, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, but I've been in conversations with you guys. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have to step up. And what's happening now is you guys are holding out your hand saying, you got this, keep going. And it's giving me confidence and keeping me going, but I'm not doing it on my own because I got brothers helping me.
Yeah.
you need to know that, sir.
I'll get there.
Tell you. You got this. But you know what? This whole math thing is crazy, man. I feel like we still are going to finish this conversation tonight, but we're going to do the best we can. But I really feel like, yeah, I've been saying this in other circles without getting too deep about it. We need to start learning how to choose, or condition ourselves to choose great over good.
Yeah.
Start getting that mindset. There's a whole bunch of good stuff, but bruh, it ain't good for you. This whole mask conversation, the only reason why I think it has legs is because the masks actually work.
Yeah.
The provider mask get you respect. The strong mask get you admiration from people. The joker mask, like Stephen was talking about, get you acceptance. You get to sit as the cool kids take in the cafeteria. The busy mask gets you a way to be distracted and avoid dealing with certain stuff because you're busy. You had to go to the office and work later. We had to drive out of town for a job. The spiritual mask gets you other kinds of approval. They actually work, but the question is, are they good? If they're not good, then that must mean they must be a great. What's the great? When you guys mentioned the Adam and Eve reference, and I mean, it's as old as time itself, but it still applies. Eve chose good over great, a temporary fix, as opposed to the greatness that was being made available to her. So this conversation, it gets real deep, man. I want to jump into another question for us. I know this one's gonna be crazy, but we are here with it though. Which environments make masking easiest? Church, social media, the barber shop. Where's a good one? The job site, the group chat with the family. I don't have one of those, except just in small doses, or somewhere else that I ain't even thinking about. What environments do you know make masking up a lot easier?
I'm gonna take church for 1,000. You.
1,000. You put it all out.
I mean, it's interesting because this is something that, as part of our leadership team, we got to discern what people are going through. We got to understand these things, right? But it's so easy to mask up at church, right? You know what a good Christian's supposed to look like, right? You're supposed to be smiling. You're supposed to be full of joy, right? Because that's the fruit of the Spirit, right? And joy can be faked, right? You can pretend to be joyful, right? And so I think that one, man, I think about we got some folks, and I'm going to say some folks just blanket, right? And I'm sure they exist in every church, but there's a couple of folks that I'm walking with right now where, you know, head first in the service, seem very devout, very full of zeal for his house, right? And in my spirit, I just know that they're carrying something, right? And rather than bring it forth in the community, right? We're supposed to be able to confess things, right? But rather than do that, man, if I'm serving all the time, if I show up at every event, if I'm the first one at church and the last one out, right? Then I look like I'm a really good Christian. Meanwhile, I might go home and I'm just weighed down and I just don't feel like I could trust these people. You know, they all seem they got it together, right? It's so interesting because I also think about when I was young and I would watch actual people that were joyful, people that were full of the Spirit, right? And I would be like, man, that is so corny. There's no way people are like that. Like, there is no way people love the Lord like that, where they are just smiling and the tears are coming down their face and like, I just love you so much, Jesus, right? I used to think that was a mask, right? But because that is so common, it's so easy to mimic. Where now I could see people and I'm like, you know, we talk about discernment. We talk about the Spirit, right? We talk about wisdom and being aware, right? Bible tells us we got to remain vigilant, right? So I'm constantly looking, not in a judgmental way, but I see it, man. I see it where like the person sitting next to us in a Sunday service might be just as lost as the person on the street cursing Jesus's name, right? But it's so easy to blend in. All you got to do is put your hands up when the music's playing, cry when something is said that's meaningful, say amen one good time, right? And you're in the game. Oh yeah, that brother right there is full of the Spirit. Meanwhile, he's broken. You know, I all these other places are very good and easy places to mask up, but I think church personally is the easiest place to wear a mask.
Sure. That's a good one, man. That might be the low-hanging fruit. I'm not sure, but
I would agree. I would agree with him, but the close second is social media.
Yeah.
Because you can post and ghost. It's
Yeah.
a highlight reel.
Yeah.
You can put a couple scriptures on there and then go back out into your sin and no one knows. Because all they see is what you just talked about or what you just posted. I mean, social media for sure. That's why I'm not really on it anymore.
Yeah.
It was too
especially
easy
with
to
AI,
put on the mask. Yeah.
especially with this AI now. Some of the things it's not even you talking.
Yeah.
But
You
everybody
can
pays
have a
you.
real mask.
Yeah.
You can even clone yourself now. So
Yeah, social media, I agree with you a lot. It's easy to frame everything in just the right way. You know, I call it the Instagram photos where you take the shot and, you know, just out of the frame is that pile of dirty laundry, you know, but you make sure it's not the shot, you know, that kind of thing. I think that's with our life a lot of times too. It's, you know, we put that dirty laundry just out of the frame so that the branding's good, you know. I think it's funny that you used the word branding earlier for isolation, because I think so much of this really is, you know, buying into the quote messaging or marketing of the world as, you know, that's what success is, that's what good is, that's what all of that, you know, independence is, you know, that's what it's all for. It's like, no, it's not. That's a false message. You know, we get lied to by social media, we get lied to by each other, we get lied to by marketing and messaging, and then we buy the lie and then try to live it and then look up and go, why didn't this work? Well, because it was a lie. You know, that's why it didn't work.
yeah. Oh my goodness.
I'll take the job site. So I still I take that one. So I'm a leader, you know, I lead a pretty significant size workforce. And for a long time, I had the leader mask on where everything depended on me. So I couldn't show up to work knowing that I'm struggling, whether it's something at home or something at work or I got to make a tough decision, you know. So you wear that mask where I'm good. And one thing I learned is that my leaders started showing up that way as well. So we started doing like different exercises during staff meetings to where I became more vulnerable and started to open up more. And next thing you know, what did they do? they started opening up more. And as a result of that, man, we locked and loaded as a team. So there ain't nothing that they can't tell me, and there ain't nothing that I can't tell them. So I believe there's a lot of leaders out there that has that mindset that you got to do leadership alone. And it's just not true. A good leader is surrounding yourself with the right team that you can depend on and that can depend on you.
That's right.
That's good stuff, man.
Good.
I love that. Anybody gonna touch one that's not on here?
Well, I
That
can't say the
barbershop
job
was
site since I work by myself, but so
You probably should.
if I'm lying to myself, right?
Probably still can say the job site even. Oh man, if that barbershop one
I
is
try
heavy,
not to lie to myself too often, at least.
yeah, barbershop one is a heavy one too, man. If you guys ever been in that scene, you know what it's like, man. Everybody in there faking. Talking about how they got their wife in control, what they're doing on their job, how much money they making. Just lying about everything. But
What kind of car they drive?
yeah, it's just a place for lies. It's like a petri dish for lies, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or
So
you could call that too the backyard barbecue, right? The neighborhood barbecue when you invite the other guys over from the neighborhood. We have a tendency to do that sometimes when we get guys together. Instead of being vulnerable, we basically put on the, my car is better than your car. My daddy could beat up your daddy. kind of attitude. It's like, it seems like we'd outgrow that, but a lot of times we don't.
you would think that, right? I feel like that's not what's happening. Yeah, man. Wow. Any other thoughts on that? On that area that we hung out in for a minute? Any other thoughts there? Cool beans. All right, so we're probably going to be riding this one out until the time that start playing outdoor music. I felt like this one was, I didn't say it for last on purpose, but I just felt like it was so deep and rich that it's probably going to be, it needs to be last. Just because of where it is. But questions are, what mask did you learn from watching the men who raised you? And by men, it should have just been your father or father figure, what have you. What mask are your children learning from watching you? So really, really hard questions, especially the second one. But who wants to jump in and be the first to tackle that first one? Or both of them at the same time, however you like. Don't be scared, guys. Okay.
Man.
I'll start with this one. It's going to lead to a testimony, because my father, for 14 years of my life, was an alcoholic. He drank a lot and he worked a lot. So that's what I saw for 14 years. And because he was hiding from, he didn't want us kids to see where he was with alcohol. He worked a lot, so he wasn't home a lot. So for a lot of my time, my 40 years of, my wilderness time, I spent a lot of time working. And even now I still have to kind of watch myself, because I have my job, I have my ministry, I have my podcast, and like I'm doing something almost every evening, but I still have to be intentional and make sure I'm spending time with my wife. And there's been nights, and I've been way too vulnerable on this episode so far, but there's been nights where I have to tell my wife, I'm sorry. I just got too distracted in work and I didn't spend any time with you. And that's something I learned from my father before he got saved. And this is where it becomes testimony, because after he got saved, he was a completely different man. And it was literally overnight. My father wasn't very present with us before he got saved. I saw the night that he got saved. He ran to the altar. He was trying to head out the door. Someone stopped him at the door and said, if you walk out now, you won't feel this call again. He ran to the altar. His jacket was half on. I remember it so clearly. And I saw my dad for the first time in my life, tears coming down his face. That morning, I woke up, my dad's sitting at the kitchen table with a Bible in front of him. And he calls me over and gives me a hug and tells me he loved me. Now, I'm sure he hugged me at times before that, but that significant moment I remember. And what I learned from that, and this is not a mask, but it's something that I've learned with my kids, is to make sure I show them love no matter how I'm feeling, no matter what I got going on, when I feel like wearing a mask in front of my wife, I still love my kids. So, I mean, that for me, it's interesting that you asked that question. But when I saw it, I was like, okay, I got a lot to talk about with my dad because I saw both sides of it.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I say for me, man, I say the silent man is what I learned from the men who raised me. And I say that because, you know, a lot of men back in the day, you know, they didn't talk a whole lot, right? They didn't share or open up, you know, kind of like we're doing today. So I would say that silent mask is one of the things that I probably picked up. For question number 2, I'm not sure yet. I got a question that I want to ask my kids, man, and I kind of want to flip it. The question I want to ask my kids is, tell me what it was like, my son. Tell me what it was like to be my daughter. And that may be a question that I may not want the answer to, but I'm open to it.
But don't put it in the comment section if you don't want to. You can talk to me about it on the side if you want to. If you don't mind, I'm not
I've done
open.
my
So
best. Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I've done my best, you know, but at the same time, there may be some things I might have missed. You know, nobody's perfect. So
yeah, I can't believe I'm getting ready to go here. But we had, you know, some of you guys know the story, but pretty much all of our daughters are estranged. I think they're strange, but I mean, they're estranged. And, you know, stuff like Father's Day ain't good times when that comes around. I can't wait for it to pass. But one thing that I value that I learned from things that I heard, complaints, criticisms, and that kind of stuff, is that the way I saw things as a parent, it ain't how they saw it. That sounds elementary, like, oh duh. But I had to realize that the way I parented, the way I viewed it, it was looked at differently from the other side. And you don't find that stuff out if you don't do what Stephen's getting ready to do with his kids and ask them, how do you see how I did things? I got a chance to ask one of my daughters that, you know, not long ago. But, you know, it's drastically different. It's a perspective situation. You might think, I did all right. I had him in church, but they complained, but I had him in church too much, a lot. Missed out on vacations, private time, et cetera, because it was always about church. So I thought I was doing a good thing, keeping them safe from the world. I didn't realize that I was in any way causing them to detox off of religion. That wasn't my plan. I just, you know, I was trying to just take care of them and keep them in good, wholesome communities and environments. So the difference on what they see versus what you're the message trying to send, it's like the telephone game. Remember that game? Talking on the telephone, pass it around. By the time I get back to you, it ain't nothing like what you said. Ain't the same tone you said it in. Ain't the right words that you use. It's totally drastically different. How did that happen? So that's kind of what, you know, that's my little spiel, man. But all right, who else want to jump in on those 2 questions? Go ahead.
Man, I think mask that I learned, one really big one was false confidence. You know, for a lot of years, I had fear of rejection underneath. I had fear of failure underneath, right? And I just portrayed the I got it thing, right? Like, I'm confident, like I can do this, right? I could go talk to any girl and get her phone number because I'm confident. Meanwhile, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what am I supposed to do, right? Scared. So much so that, like, if you were to ask my wife about when we were dating, she thought I was confident. and the whole time knees are shaking, they're knocking on each other. I'm like, palms are sweating, you know, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to this girl, you know, and it was just ingrained in me from watching every man. Like, my grandfather, I had two of my grandfathers. One was a minister of like 50 years, right? Very, very revered man of God. My other grandfather was a grandmaster of martial arts, right? So the man could fight, right? So here I am, like, thinking that I have to live up to both of these things, right? So I've got to be confident in these things, and not knowing what I was doing. The one that I know that I passed on, and I dread the day that I'm ever reconciled with my kids, Stephen. If I ask them that question, I know the answer to it, right? And what I taught them was a legacy of pain, a mask of rage, of anger, of control, right? I know I taught that to them. I know this is the sins of the father stuff, right? These are generational curses that were passed down. Because why? Because that's what I saw a man do as I was a child, right? My father was an angry person, right? He demanded respect, right? He take on every challenger, right? Even if it was my mother, you know? And so those are the things that when I had the first go around, man, that's what I passed on. I know they were watching that, right? They knew that their dad was angry. They knew that their dad was violent. They knew that their dad wasn't going to take any mess from anybody, and it didn't matter if it was a boy or a girl. You know what I'm saying? And then and so I dread that question, even though I know the answer. Like, it's one of those things where just because I'm living a redeemed life doesn't mean that I've forgotten who I used to be, right? Like, I could see the mask, like right now, like right over there on the floor, you know, shattered, but it's still there. You know, like, I know the mask that I had on. I know that I wasn't supposed to be that person. And so those are the ones that I know passed on, man. And I don't know. I think about that a lot, you know, like, I know that one day the reconciliation will happen, that I will be reunited with them at some point. And I'm just like, man, hopefully they don't got long memories like me, because there's not too much that I forget. You know, I receive it and I understand it, and I can see it with the eyes of someone who's been forgiven, you know, but gosh, oh man. So what I do hope though for you, Stephen, is that they say, man, it was amazing being your son. It was amazing. But you know what I'm saying, man? I hope that for every single person. I hope it for myself too. I'm just, if I'm being honest and I'm being living in reality, for me, I know that's not going to be the answer.
Wow. Thank you, brother. That's powerful stuff right there, man. Anybody else?
Guess I'll close it out. I can actually pull from everybody that everything that you guys said. It spoke to a part of me. But the thing that's weighing heavy on me right now, I'm still stuck on this imposter syndrome. And when I can go back from watching the men who raised me, I was raised by my grandfather, both on both sides, my mom's dad, my father's dad. And you have to think, these men grew up in the South, born in the 40s and the 50s, raised in the 60s and the 70s.
Wow.
So with certain things, they taught me how to survive as a Black man in America. Number one was to love everybody, but don't trust everybody. Sometimes you got to learn how to play dumb. Never let them know everything that you know, because it's not going to work out for you. That led to imposter syndrome, because I could be in rooms, I may know the answer, but I'm going to shrink back, because in the back of my mind, I'm hearing, look who's in the room. Never let everybody know everything that you know. Sometimes you got to hold some stuff for yourself. Love them, but don't trust them. So growing up in that, and now seeing things differently, seeing how the world has changed, and I'm thankful for everything that they taught me, because they taught me survival. They taught me to survive, but they didn't necessarily know how to thrive. And to thrive, you got to make the connections. You got to have community. And most importantly, you got to see things through Christ's eyes. Once you start seeing things through Christ's eyes, you get filled with the Holy Spirit, you get discernment. Then he showed you who you can have in your corner. He showed you Edwin. We was at the men's retreat. This is Edwin, so I don't want to take credit for it. One of the things that he said was he's looking for his mat carriers. And in that, you know, when that guy needed help and his friends pulled the roof back, and they carried his mat and they took him through the roof to Jesus. He says, I want my mat carriers, the ones where I have nothing to give. They can get me to where I need to be. They can get me to the foot of the cross when I can do nothing for them and they want nothing in return. But you can't find that in isolation. And we all need that. We need somebody that's going to watch our six. Like I said, we need someone that's going to pray for us. And when I'm down and out and I don't know what to do, I need somebody that can get a prayer through. Someone that's been through what I've been through that can encourage me, say, hey, I've been there. This is how I came out. Maybe you should try this. I'm praying for you, man. Or you know what? It's not as bad as you think. Keep going. Keep pushing. We need that. But again, you can't get that in isolation. And you can't get that by hiding.
That's right.
Cutting the light off in the room. If I don't share what I know, then what I know necessarily is not even for me. It could be for that 19-year-old that's in the room. I need to share what I know to bring him through so he doesn't have to go through what I went through.
Right.
But if I'm hiding, not only am I shrinking myself, but I'm blocking somebody else's blessing as well. So that's all I gotta say on that one for now.
Anybody else?
Yeah, like Mark, I grew up with an alcoholic father. He was a churchgoer and kind of a pillar of the community, and everyone thought he was fantastic, and that was kind of, you talk about wearing a mask, out in public, he was literally pillar of the community, but in the household, he was an alcoholic and a drug addict and, abusive and all of that. And of course, I learned to hide it because you didn't share any of that stuff in public. So I made sure, my mask got on pretty early too, because I learned to wear it from watching him, but I also learned it to protect him. So I deliberately said, my kids are never going to learn that from me. I can remember my father saying, I love you to me one time. And it's when I told him he'd never said, I love you to me. In response to that, he said, well, I love you. That's it. That's the one time I remember. And it's like, well, his thought was, well, so I shouldn't have to say it. Right. And, as a 14-year-old, that wasn't really the answer I wanted. So like, as an example, I've told my adult son, he's 23. He's been out of the house for years. I still either text him or call him every single day and say, I love you, son. And it's just, I told him, you're going to get sick of hearing this, but I'm going to tell you this every single day. And here's why. And I've told him the story. And, he's now as an adult come back and said, I appreciate you telling me that. Cause you're right. There was a period where I was kind of like, dude, Dad, shut up. But now looking back on it, it's like, I've learned, he can tell his girlfriend that he loves her. And, he's learned to be able to express love because he had that from me. So I think too, sometimes when we learn from the mass that we grow up in, we can also make a deliberate choice to say, okay, I'm going to put that mask down and not pass it on to my kids too.
That's good, man. Yeah. I'm shutting you down, man. Anybody else want to chime in and share anything? This was deep and rich as expected.
Too bad there wasn't any more meat on that bone, huh?
I think we got down to the marrow tonight.
To the marrow.
I think we got down to the marrow tonight. But thank you guys for being so transparent, sharing so much of your stories, and just allowing these experiences to help enrich the viewers and listeners that are out there, whether they're watching live or on replay. And I want to just encourage you guys before we close out. You know how we do it, man. Keep the vision in front of you. What we're trying to accomplish with this. If you don't make Thursday nights the one time that you decide to go ahead and extend yourself and put yourself out there, hoping that somebody sees, because sometimes the numbers don't always reflect that, and we can't always tell how many people are actually watching and when they're going to watch. You might watch it a month from now, and I hear comments about one of you guys a month from now. So let that not be your goal. You got opportunities on a daily basis. Like I always pass by 3 to 5 men every day. Even you, Scott, you go to the coffee shop, don't you?
Actually, my wife cuts my hair. But I go for a walk and I talk to people every day. So yes, I'll give you that.
I'm glad I didn't have to. I'm like, man, Scott, you sound like you're in isolation. But no.
I actually have to seek out opportunities. So to your credit, I do have to make sure I do, because I don't always get them.
I respect you all the more for that, because it ain't easy to you. Having a job site or going to the barber shop, it's low hanging fruit. You got to go out and get yours. I respect that all the more, man. But take the opportunities to do that, because at the end of the day, like Miller's nephew came inside here, he didn't know.
Yeah.
There was some kind of communication, some kind of connective tissue. Something happened that made him want to jump over here and be a part of the conversation. You guys had the same ability in your neck of the woods, in your community. We got to just use it. Thanks for being a part of the table and taking your seat. Love you guys.
Yeah.